What is going on, card collecting family? This is Justin with Go Crazy Card Collecting. I'm having a blast on YouTube. I've met some really cool people, met some really cool, what I would call friends now, and that is so awesome to me. If you would do me a favor and subscribe, I would love to meet more of you and get connected with more of you. Like the video, please comment. I love talking to anybody, but I had some things that I wanted to share with you about growing up. I grew up without a dad. He left when I was little, and I had been listening to some podcasts recently that shared moments that they had as kids with their dads and their collecting, and how maybe that even shaped the way they collect, or some of those memories that they had with their dad, and how that made things different for them now. And I think that's just awesome. And for me, my dad was gone, and so my mom did the absolute best she could. I played baseball. She did everything she could, took me to practices, played catch with me. She even had, as you know, like if you saw my first and second video, she had a collection of her own from the 60s that she ended up giving to me as an adult a few years ago. But as a kid, it was more like she would go to the flea market for her stuff, and then I would go over to the card section and I would look through the cards and go through the cards on my own. And so it got me thinking, like, how has that shaped how I collect now? Like what I do now, and what I look for, and what I think is awesome and what I think is fun. And just to be completely honest with you, me and Billy Ballgame were talking about this the other day, and but my kids aren't super interested in the baseball cards of ball players. They like some current stuff. My daughter's favorite player was Yadier Molina. She still loves Yadier Molina, and I got her some stuff with that. My son loves Paul Goldschmidt. He's got things from Goldschmidt and different things like that. And there are different things. He also fell in love with Jim Abbott. Do you remember Jim Abbott? He had, he was missing a hand, and sat his glove on that hand and would pitch and slide the glove on. And my son just thought that was like the coolest thing ever. And so we have some connections, and some different things and some experiences. I'll share a couple experiences with you that I think are awesome. And this is how I've decided to include my children in on this, because they just don't, like I said, they're just not as interested as I am in a certain way. And so a couple things that I've done. First of all, we have a AA team that's really close to us in Little Rock. And so I'll take them, and one of the time there was a prospect on the other team on the Wind Surge that his name was Austin Martin, and he had come out of Vanderbilt and was, a top prospect at the time. And so the local card shop guy was like, you got to try to get his autograph. He's the one you want, and all that. So we went anyway, and my son was, how are we going to get his autograph? And we didn't get there in time. And so the game had started. And in the 7th inning, Austin Martin was up to bat and just hit a towering foul ball, and it went up over the top, up over the roof. And I turned around, it hit on the roof, and it rolled down, fell right off, and it was coming straight for me, hit right behind me, and I grabbed it and gave it to my son. And so he has a foul ball from that moment, and that was just a cool, Austin Martin, I think he's kind of fallen off, but it was still a really cool moment. And so what I did is I found a cheap slabbed autograph card. I can't remember who the grading company was, but that doesn't matter, for him, and I gave it to him for his birthday. And so now he has that ball that I got, that foul ball and that card, and it was just an awesome memory. And growing up without my dad has made that memory so much more meaningful and special to me. I'm not saying that it's not meaningful and special to people who had their dads, because that's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is I'm so purposeful with the way that I collect and with my children, because of not growing up with a dad. But there was another time, my kids like the mascots a lot. We watch mascot videos all the time. We love Phillie Phanatic. He's awesome. We're not Phillies fans, we're Cardinals fans, but we love Phillie Phanatic. We love Orbit from Houston. Something cool that we did was and I can show a picture of you right now. I'll just put up a picture. We actually sent Orbit a care package, and he sent a bunch of autographed pictures and cards back. We sent 2 cards to him And then he sent those back with several other things, and that was really, really cool. And then um, I also bought the opening day cards, and they include all the mascot cards. And so I bought a box of those and brought them home. And for about 30 minutes, we just took turns, me and my kids, just ripping into those. And I know that those cards weren't worth anything, but man, every time we found a certain mascot, it was so fun. My kids were trading them, and they were just so excited about these mascot cards. And we were finding them, and my son would grab a couple of the same, and he would trade with my daughter, and they would just kind of go back and forth, and we were having such a great time. And so now they have these stack of mascot cards, and they have that memory with their dad of pulling those, and it was just so awesome, and just different things like that. And so for me, I make it a priority in this hobby to include my kids any way that I can. If they're not interested in vintage, my son and my daughter both know who Bob Gibson and Lou Brock are, and my son has a Bob Gibson card and thinks it's the coolest card, but they're just not searching for things like I am, or they're wanting to go look at the card shop, or wanting to go to a show or anything like that, and that's fine. I just find creative ways to collect with them, and it just means so much to me. It means a lot to me. My son, for Father's Day this year, got me this little thing. I don't know if you can read it, but it says, "Dad, my superhero." My wife thought it was so funny. She was so excited that he wanted to get this. Like, he picked it out, and he wanted to get this for me. This sits in my office at my school, where you see me most of the time. And I just wanted to show it to you, because that even in my collecting, like, this has become a big deal to me and what it's all about. Dad, my superhero. How can I create memories through this hobby that I love so much with my kids? And how can I make their memory? I hope someday they grow up and they have memories. Maybe if they collect when they're adults, I remember when my dad did this. I remember when we got those opening day cards. I just want to challenge you, if you are a dad, or if your dad's still around, or whatever, like, find some way to share part of this hobby, if you love this hobby as much as I do, with your kids or with your dad. There'll be a memory, at least, that they'll always have. My kids may never want to collect cards on their own, but they may say, my dad loved this hobby and he did these things to include us. And we are so thankful that he included us in something that meant so much to him. I think that's just really important. So I wanted to share that with you. It was neat to me to hear these podcasts. I remember not very long ago, when I was watching Clemente Collector, he talks about his dad, and he had talked about his dad, and he got a little teary-eyed, and I just had to comment, I got cards from my mom, made those cards so much more meaningful to me, and I don't know what my kids are going to do with my cards when I'm gone, or when I give it to them, and that's for them to decide. I'm sure they would keep one or two at least, but it would be really hard for me to ever give up any of those cards for my mom, but I know a lot of times it's a father-son experience. And so I just want to challenge the dads out there, if you have the opportunity to somehow involve your kids in this, and or at least make memories with them in something that you hold so dear, or that you are so passionate about and that you love so much, like I do when it comes to vintage baseball cards. So I just find a way to involve them. Those weren't vintage, but it was still a lot of fun and so meaningful. They still have all those. And so they'll always want those, and we'll probably do it again. It was so awesome. And it wasn't even, it's not even very expensive. And so, I think I bought a box at the time. It was 2022 opening day. I bought those for $30, I think, a whole box, like a huge box. And so it was really fun. It was a fun rip. Anyway, being a dad is very, very special to me, and very, very meaningful to me. And I can't think of anything I would rather do than somehow include them in this hobby. I also want to show you some pickups. I got these. I guess the air conditioner went off just now in the room. I got these pickups. I had talked about a set when I did the 68 set, that I was never going to do a set again. I guess I lied. So I got a few of the Topps Giants cards from 64, And man, I just love these things. I'm apparently finding out that I love the bigger cards because I love those postcards, those signed postcards, the Perez steel. And I just love these cards. They're beautiful. They're like photography. And on a baseball card, I know they don't have the stats on the back, but I want to show you some of those. I picked up a few of them, and I want to show them to you. Just a couple Hall of Famers. I got this Al Kaline. It's an awesome card. It's kind of, see on the back, it has like a newspaper article type thing. Very cool. Jim Bunning. Bunning hurls perfect game on the back. Bob Bailey. Bailey leads in double plays. Very cool how they did it. The newspaper articles. Ron Hunt. Hunt named to All-Star squad. Ricky Colavito. Dean Chance. Frank Howard. Someone had said that these were given out around the All-Star break. I haven't really researched it, but in reading some of these, it talks like the season was over. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they knew what they were talking about, but I haven't really researched it. Ed Brinkman. Strikeout King again. Very cool. Milt Pappas. Hurl's 16th career shutout. Nobody will do that anymore. Gary Peters. Pete Ward. Named top rookie of 63. And Tony Gonzalez. Not a bad start. There's only 60 of them. I saw that the Mantle was like triple or double printed. It might be even Mantle's cheapest playing day card, which would be pretty awesome. I know it's not super expensive. I also know that the Mays and the Koufax were short printed, so they're a little bit more expensive. But there's only 60 cards in the set, so I'm not... The only reason I didn't want to do another set is because I didn't want to have to buy a bunch of no-name players that I have no clue who they are. So with this... like I said, I've got 14 of the 60 already, and most of them are Hall of Famers or stars. I think, here comes the air conditioner back on. I think about a third of them are at least Hall of Famers, and then, you know, the rest are stars. So I'm just excited to have that. I think it's going to look really cool, and they were thicker cardstock, so they stay in pretty good shape. I also was given this. I'd never seen this before. Home run history at Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, 98. It's a card set. Oh, dropping stuff. And it goes through, like, show you. Mark McGwire, home run history, portrait of a hero. I'm not going to take you through all this. It does the same thing with Sammy Sosa. And then it goes through, like, the race. And it, home run fan favorite, well-rounded superstar. It's got him on first base. Cardinals slugger. And it goes back and forth from each one. And then it has these die cut cards, which it's kind of funny. Oh, they're still in the box. The die cut cards are funny because it has a McGwire one. And then it has randomly a Cal Ripken Jr. one. I'd never seen these sets before, and I looked it up. And it had Cal Ripken Jr. because he had done the 2,632 consecutive game streak or whatever at that point. I looked them up, and it was like a QVC special. There were only so many of them made. They were available for 24 hours, but it was like on QVC, and you had to order them. So I thought this was kind of a cool gift. I'm a Cardinals fan, and I was the right age. I can't get them back in the box. I was the right age for that to be like a big part of my childhood. I think I was 15 at the time. And so that's pretty cool. I'm excited to have it. It's a neat part of my collection. Excited to do the Tops Giants, and just wanted to kind of share with you, growing up without a dad was tough, made my hobby experience different, but it makes my hobby experience different now, and I'm going to make sure I involve my kids however I can, even if they're not interested the way I am. So thanks a lot, guys. Like I said, if you have the time, go ahead and subscribe. I would love to just meet you guys. It helps me connect with more people, and that's the whole reason I'm doing this. So thanks a lot. Have a great one.